Yeah, well, one of the things I do in the book is I describe I go through a lot of different parts. I began looking at the title of Lord and its significance in the Old Testament, and I began looking at it from that point of view, and then before coming to Paul, because I wanted to have a kind of a basis in the Old Testament to begin with.
Hmm.
And then when we come to the New Testament, we begin seeing that, well, in Paul's letters, Paul refers to Jesus as the Kurios over 200 times. Now, the old conventional wisdom had been this, that when Paul uses the word Kurios, he has Jesus in mind, except when he's quoting the Old Testament. That was the way that
Okay.
everybody talked about it, uh, with the idea that no, Paul would never have, confused Jesus with God in that particular way. I wasn't satisfied with that because I found certain texts initially that said, well, wait a minute, sometimes Paul relates these kurios texts, and I say kurios because kurios is the Greek translation of the divine name. The divine name Yod He Vav He occurs 6,000 times. It was the unspeakable name of God. It was to speak it according to Sanhedrin 9:5 was to blaspheme, and so you were careful how you talked. You were careful how you wrote. So this particular name, and so we only, with the greatest respect, use the term Yahweh as an attempt to capture that word in our sound world,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I call a Yahweh text this um, as a text from the Old Testament that is quoted in the New that refers originally to the divine name as the Kurios, because Kurios could translate other words in addition to the word Yahweh or
Hmm.
Hashem. So it could record it could translate other words, but uh, these special times where Paul is quoting these Yahweh texts and applying them to Jesus, I thought were remarkable appropriations of the text. So I began looking throughout Paul's letters, and I found most of them in what are called the major letters of Paul, Romans 1 and 2 Corinthians. We
Okay.
also see it in Philippians, and we also see it in Thessalonians and such, but most of them are in Romans and 1 and 2 Corinthians. Uh, what was important in my study, I thought, Alec, was the fact that Paul didn't take every Yahweh text as a reference to Jesus. He did it roughly in about half of the instances. I can't remember how many I found, but they're about 12 or 14, something like that.
Okay.
And about seven of those are applied to God and referring to God, and about the other seven are referring to Jesus.
Okay.
Now, to take these texts from Scripture, sacred text of Scripture, referring to God's holy name, and apply those to someone other than God, the God of Israel, I thought was just a remarkable appropriation of text and a remarkable hermeneutical move on the count of Paul.